Deep within the emerald forest lived a little dog named Daisy. She was known throughout the land for her infectious laughter and boundless energy. But Daisy had a secret. She was scared of the dark, and whenever night fell, she would whimper and hide under her bed. One day, an adventurous dog named Max moved into the village near the forest. He was known for his bravery and strength, but Max had his own secret. He was afraid of the dark, too. As days passed, Daisy and Max played together, unaware of each other's fears. Then one afternoon, they heard about a magical tree deep in the forest called the Whispering Willow. It was said that if you whispered your deepest fear to the tree, it would magically vanish. Hopeful for a solution to her problem, Daisy asked Max to help her find the Whispering Willow. Max was initially reluctant, as he hadn't told anyone about his fear of the dark. But seeing Daisy's hopeful eyes, he agreed to help her. Together they set off into the forest, excited to put an end to their fears once and for all. The forest was dark and gloomy, which made Daisy nervous. Max, too, felt a knot of anxiety in his stomach, but he knew he had to be brave for both himself and Daisy. As they walked, Daisy suddenly stopped. "I want to go home," she said, her voice trembling. "It's too scary here." Max placed a comforting paw on Daisy's shoulder. "Don't worry," he said, trying to sound braver than he felt. "We're almost there." But even as he said those words, he wasn't so sure. Just then, a wise old owl flew down from a tree branch. "Lost, little ones?" she hooted softly. Startled, Daisy and Max jumped. "We're looking for the Whispering Willow," said Daisy. The owl nodded. "I know that tree well. It's just ahead, but the path is not an easy one." "We're not afraid," said Max, even though his tail was tucked between his legs. The owl smiled. "Very well, then let's go." And with that, she led them deeper into the forest. The path was indeed not easy. They had to cross a rickety bridge over a deep and murky pool, climb up a steep hill, and wade through a cold, rushing stream. All the while, the forest grew darker, and the trees closed in around them, making it hard for Daisy and Max to see. Each time Daisy felt scared, she looked to Max for comfort. And each time Max felt afraid, he remembered why he had started this journey. Finally, they saw it, a giant willow tree with branches that swept the ground. This must be the Whispering Willow, thought Daisy and Max. But as they approached the tree, they heard a terrible sound, a deep, guttural growl. Suddenly, a big, bad wolf stepped out from behind the tree. "Who's come to my forest?" he snarled. "Leave now or face my wrath." Daisy and Max were terrified. What should they do? Suddenly, the wise old owl flew down onto the wolf's head. "Begone, foul beast," she hooted. "You have no power here." And with that, she pecked him on the nose. The wolf howled in pain and ran off. The three friends had defeated the wolf and could now approach the Whispering Willow. As they did, the tree seemed to glow with a soft green light. "Now," said the owl, "you must whisper your fears to the tree." Daisy and Max took a deep breath and closed their eyes. Daisy whispered, "I am afraid of the dark." And Max whispered, "I am afraid of the dark." When they opened their eyes, they realized that the darkness had vanished. The forest was now filled with light. The wise old owl hooted softly. "You have conquered your fears, little ones. You are now free." And with that, she flew away. Max and Daisy looked at each other in surprise. They had done it. They were no longer afraid of the dark. In fact, they realized that their fears had been unfounded. There was nothing to be afraid of. As they made their way home, they couldn't stop talking about their adventure. They told each other all about their fears and how they had overcome them. They also talked about how they had helped each other and how they had become friends. From that day on, Daisy and Max were inseparable. They went on many more adventures together, and they never once were afraid of the dark. They had faced their fears and won. The next day, Daisy and Max were playing in the forest when they came across a small cottage. They had never seen the cottage before and were curious to know who lived there. So they went up to the door and knocked. A moment later, the door opened and a kind old woman appeared. "Hello," she said with a smile. "Can I help you?" "We were just exploring the forest," said Daisy, "and we came across your cottage. Who lives here?" "I live here all alone," said the old woman, "and I must say it can get quite lonely sometimes." Daisy and Max looked at each other. They had an idea. "Would you like to go exploring with us?" asked Max. The old woman's eyes lit up. "Oh yes, I'd love to." And with that, the three of them set off into the forest. They walked for a while in silence, and Daisy and Max were starting to feel a bit awkward. They didn't know what to say. Suddenly, Daisy broke the silence. "What's your favorite thing about living in the forest?" she asked. The old woman thought for a moment. "That's a difficult question," she said finally. "There are so many things I love about living in the forest. The trees, the flowers, the animals. But the thing I love the most is the peace and quiet. It's so relaxing to live in a place where you're surrounded by nature and away from the hustle and bustle of everyday life." Daisy and Max nodded. They understood what she meant. They too loved the peace and quiet of the forest. They had explored many parts of the forest, but they had never seen anything like this before. As they walked on, they came across a clearing and gasped in amazement. In the center of the clearing was a beautiful meadow filled with all kinds of flowers. The flowers were in full bloom, and the clearing was alive with the sound of bees and butterflies. The old woman was amazed. "I've never seen anything like this before," she said. "It's so beautiful." Daisy and Max smiled at each other. They had found a magical place in the forest, a place that was filled with beauty and wonder. And as they stood there taking in the sights and sounds of the meadow, they knew that they had made a friend for life. They had found someone who loved the forest as much as they did, someone who appreciated its beauty and its wonder. And so they continued to explore the forest together, always discovering new and exciting things, always making new friends along the way. They had unleashed their courage and in doing so had found true friendship and adventure.